on a more longer term, where is it that India is headed over the next decade? Are valuations justified? Is the high growth story just starting? At Prabhudas Leeladhar's 80th anniversary, Nikunj caught up with some of the biggest market veterans and fund managers to talk about what's in store for India.
अगर ये फिस्कल प्रूडेंस का पाथ चलता रहा तो हो सकता है हमारी क्रेडिट रेटिंग अपग्रेड हो जाए। नाउ निकुंज भाई, हम उन लोगों के पास से न्याय की आशा रख रहे हैं जो नाम में बोले हम मूडी है और हमारे स्टैंडर्ड पुअर है। बट सुबह का बुला शाम को घर लौट आएगा। So if my rating gets upgraded, my cost of capital comes down. And cost of capital comes down, तो मार्केट की वैल्यूएशन को बढ़ावा मिलेगा। और जैसा भरत भाई ने बताया कि कंपनीज अच्छा कर रही है, भगवान ऊपर से हमारा ध्यान रख रहा है, तो गाड़ी तो चलती रहेगी। अब आप अमर भाई स्टॉक लेके बैठ जाइए तो पैसा बनेगा। एंथनी भाई में शायद शॉर्ट टर्म में ज्यादा बनेगा, बाद में थोड़ा कम बनेगा।
Now, I was saying, you talked about the world and India. So, despite whatever was happening in the world and whatever was happening in the world, Sanjay is here, Amisha Ben, all of them have served like foreign portfolio investors for last 32 years when they started investing. Out of the last 32 years, correct me, I think almost 24 or 25 years they have been net buyers of Indian equities, except 6 or 7 calendar year or financial year, whichever way you look at it, maybe 6 or 7 at the most, where they've been a net seller of Indian equities. And the reason were twofold. Number one, the stable macro environment and the growth potential from a very low base. I mean, somebody talked about the democracy that we have, the demographics that we have, and the overall bigger picture that this is a country which will continue to deliver growth. The second important reason was, which Bharat Bhai I think touched upon, is so there was a top-down opportunity of India. The second reason foreigners have always been a buyer of Indian equities is the bottom-up opportunity of India. You don't get this kind of breadth of the market in most of the other emerging markets. You don't get that in some of the developed markets also. I mean, you go to Taiwan, like below Taiwan semiconductor and few stocks, there is nothing. In Korea, beyond like few stocks, there is hardly any market. Forget about like Russia. I mean, even when Russia was investable, Nilesh Bhai talked about Rusal, Gazprom, few of the like Sberbank, 3-4, उसके बाद कोई market नहीं है. आप ब्राज़ील जाते हो, Petrobras, few banks and all that, बहुत छोटा सा market है. Relative to that, India में regardless of the market cycles, I mean your financials, your like in consumer, in industrials and utilities, the breadth of the market that you get, technology, you get like so many plays in the country with great quality of management, governance, growth, capital efficiency, disclosure standards, audit standards, regulation, all of that. So the top-down opportunity, bottom-up opportunity. I feel more positive for the next 10-20 years from foreign portfolio investors perspective. ये छोटा time का valuation आगे पीछे छोड़ दीजिए, which is the retail presence now. Because what the retail presence is doing is bringing down the volatility of the market on a structural basis. Now our SIP per month is 21,000 crores per month. 21,000 into 12. Suppose यहाँ से कुछ भी नहीं बढ़ता है, ये 21,000 ही रहता है. अभी आपका वेल बंद कर देता है बेचना, नहीं SIP लाना, ये 21,000 करोड़ आती रहती है. Into 12 is equal to $30 billion. $30 billion. Foreigners have never invested in any single year in India. जब भी बहुत बड़ी तेजी भी हुई तब भी उन्होंने $30 billion कभी नहीं लगाया. This itself is 30, and then you have NPS, then you have EPFO, then you have like PF, insurance and all of that. This money every day is so large. What it will do is provide more stability to the market.
Just to add to Navneet's point, one of the other reasons for improving valuation for India is a structural decline in volatility. Foreign money was talking much more than it deserved to in terms of the impact. And therefore, the structural decline in volatility itself is a source of greater confidence of future and therefore greater valuation today. Because any uncertainty you counter with raising the discount rate for the future, which I think systemically is declining, apart from actual cost of capital declining. And he touched upon the diversity of the businesses and the breadth and length. In fact, even America doesn't have the same diversity of the businesses that India has got. Across the length and breadth of variety of businesses. Look at American market in last 10 years. While it has done well, remove the Fab 7, your Nvidia and Microsoft and Apple and Google, then you really are left with no returns over a 10-year period in American market. That shows how vulnerable that market and situation is held hostage to limited number of businesses, which is not the case in India.
What is the next big theme, idea, or a trend which you are betting on? I mean, at heart, you are a stock picker. I respect your compliance. We will not talk stocks, but give us where you think that there is scope for earnings upgrade, P upgrade, and where the macros are going to be favoring a strong, economic growth.
See, the sectors which look the best in terms of profit growth sometimes don't turn out to be the best in terms of equity market returns and vice versa. A clear example is, 2023 or financial year 24, the sector which performed the best in terms of profits, growth, balance sheet, everything was private sector banks. But no private sector bank, at least the larger ones, have given any return last 1 year. And on the other hand, IT had the worst year since Lehman. Growth was non-existent. The guidance given was 2%, 3% per annum, and still it turned out to be a very decent sector. So I think a lot of times, your question that where there will be earnings upgrade, maybe sectors where there's earnings upgrade, the returns might not be there. But having said that, I completely agree that India is a country driven by entrepreneurs. We always say this, that India grows because of entrepreneurs and despite the government in a lot of sectors. And I think that is basically the reason why it keeps on growing at 6.5%, 7% when the world is growing at 0%. And obviously, I think that opens up opportunity. There are so many new sectors which have come up. Suddenly, the likes of Zomato and Swiggy did not exist, that business did not exist. Obviously, we don't have investments there, but I'm just giving you a perspective. There are so many other businesses which just did not exist 5-10 years back, and now they are so large. So I think there is opportunity across. Having said that, to answer your question directly, I still believe that financials have a lot of room to grow. I think pharma has a lot of room to grow. Stocks are not expensive relative to the market. Companies are very clean. There is a natural advantage which a lot of these companies have. Sizes are such that now they can spend money on innovation. I think one thing where India has lagged massively, including IT services company and pharma, that we never had the guts to invest in creating products like Netflix or Meta or so many other products. Why couldn't some Indian company could have tried? If you're making $3, $4, $5 billion of net profit, you had capital to put it at risk. Maybe, now things will change. Even in pharma, why can't we have innovative product coming out of it? We are always trying to copy and do the first to file and generic version of it. Why can't we have innovative products? I think that will change now.
Bharat bhai, I think we've really established, and thanks to everybody here, everybody on the panel, that the big picture, valuation support, the size of the opportunity, like you always say, the size of the pond is great. But, it's a rarity for all of us to interact with you. You hardly come on public forums now. Everybody really wants to understand that where are you finding those, not insights, but insights. The insights where, to your mind, the next wealth creation cycle will start, it has started, or it will continue.
I think it is flowering of the opportunities. Navneet talked about the sheer diversity and the breadth of the businesses available in India. And truly, I think for the first time it is now coming to fore in a much bigger way. Think of about 15 years back, under the attack of Chinese dumping, this country's manufacturing was in a state of tatters, where it would have simply been, and it was, I think, systematically getting hollowed out by China at that point of time. I don't know how, but any and everything was imported in the country at any kind of cost. And therefore, once you destroy profitability of industry and manufacturing, after a few years of struggle, the units will die. You finish off the industry and manufacturing and the country becomes parasitical, dependent on the outside forces. I think cynically, that probably was something which was brewing around for a length of time. Finally, we are now seeing a revival of manufacturing, revival of industry, your capital goods, your defense, your railway ecosystem, your logistics, your warehousing, energy transition, greening of the energy equipment, energy financing, all host of opportunities where India should have been leading from the front for a long time, but I'm glad at least finally it is coming to the fore.
Which are the businesses, themes which you think can really scale up large from here? I mean, I remember there was a time when IT was small and it is now $250 billion industry, more than what the oil exports of Aramco are. What can really become large, mega, big if the economy grows?
So one is I will take forward from where Navneet said. I think wealth and asset manager, I think still very, very minuscule. And this is a business where sustainably at least and visibly you can see 25% growth at least for the next 10-20 years. And 25% growth over 10 years is 10x. And if it lasts for 20 years, it is 100x. And it's such a good business. You don't need capital, you need intellectual capital. It is 100% cash conversion. So I think asset management companies, wealth management companies are going to be one of the biggest wealth creators.